What? How y'all doing? I've done a run of cheap entry-level gear this month. It's stuff that I talk about to people quite a bit. In fact, I got into a conversation with someone today about getting back into like gaming, retro gaming, console gaming, PC gaming, whatever, just gaming. And I always tend to sway people towards cheap computers. Old computers, usually ex-business computers. Cheap, plentiful, and they actually have quite a bit of grunt for the cash. I've been using that kind of stuff for absolutely years. Even if I've had more powerful machines available to me, sometimes the form factor of a cheap, small form factor business PC just kind of fits, you know? So I've done cheap audio, entry-level audio, get reasonable sounding audio for as low as like 40 quid or something like that, without going so low you're buying something you just realistically it's too good to be true kind of thing. We've done capture cards, super cheap stuff that, while not perfect, does the job. Now we're going to talk computers. I know that a lot of people are going to go, oh, but I need or I want. But realistically, you don't actually need a lot. Most important part in your PC, realistically, if you're going to be playing games, is your graphics card. Your processor can last a billion years. Forever and a day. Your graphics card's the bit that's going to be long in the tooth first. Not always true, and that's going to become more obvious with this coming generation of consoles, because most games in recent history have been optimized for older consoles. And by older consoles, we're talking like PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and those were pretty long in the tooth when they came out. But the idea is that games these days are really well optimized for the most part. And so you can actually get into the PC realm of stuff really cheap. Really cheap. If you just want to, you don't want to go hardcore, balls deep, several £1,000 PC, you go, I don't really know if I'm going to play that many games, but I'd kind of like to have a PC so I can do this, do that, whatever. I don't want it to be too big. I've got an option for you. Now, I'm not going to talk about something if I don't do it myself. As I say, I've been doing the whole cheap business thing for a while, and to prove a point, here's one of mine. It's a Dell OptiPlex 990. It's an Intel Core i5 2400 Sandy Bridge processor from about a billion years ago, and it's got a low profile NVIDIA GTX 1050 Ti, and it would play lots and lots of games. It would stomp all over the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. It would be somewhere between the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, kind of PlayStation 5 Series X style. Definitely more powerful than the last gen of consoles, not as powerful as the current gen of consoles, but more flexible in that you could do more stuff than, you know, just play games. You could edit with it. I've live streamed with it. In fact, I had an entire stream rig for years built on basically two of these. I mean, you can get these for about 100 quid. Okay, so that'll come with a processor, a bit of RAM, hard drive, and then you just whap in a graphics card for about 150 quid when you can get them. And that's going to be the thing of this video. You can get these PCs everywhere. The graphics cards at the moment are a little awkward to get. These days, for the price that I paid for this, or around 150 quid, you can actually get an Intel Core i5 6th gen processor, the 6500 specifically, quad core, and that would stomp all over the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. Again, I understand that we're in PlayStation 5 territory now. I understand, the Xbox Series X makes these machines look absolutely god-awful, but in the grand scheme of things, well, I looked at it, but I'll get to it in a minute. To build a machine around the same power as those cost a lot more than those consoles cost. However, again, more freedom. I've been doing this cheap PC thing for ages. In fact, I've got laptops just scattered about that are ex-business machines too, just because they're built to last. Okay? I'll just give you a quick extra downside to this, because I'll give you a positive at the end. You can't really upgrade these too much more out of what you get. Okay? You spend around £100 to £150 on the machine, about £150 on the graphics card. The only thing you can really do after that is potentially upgrade the processor. RAM can be upgraded. Graphics card, if you get a 1650 low profile, that's pretty much as high as you can go unless Nvidia decide to release a higher power graphics card. But the stuff you upgrade with is still going to be kind of old. To max this out, you're talking £150 for the graphics card, about £100 to £150 for the computer, and then maybe, and that's with a decent amount of RAM and a decent hard drive in it, or a decent amount of storage in it, 50 quid for the processor, and then you've literally capped it out. There are other options, but they start off a lot more expensive. I would always recommend something like this over a laptop or a games console. Just more power, more bang for your buck kind of thing. A laptop that would give you this kind of grunt is still pretty expensive. So you don't need to spend a lot of money to get into PC. And realistically, you know, I know a lot of people who are still looking at PlayStation 4s and Xbox Ones. I got into a conversation with someone today who was literally looking into buying a PlayStation 4 just to play some old games. These things, this is an old machine. I would recommend one of the newer ones, the Intel Core i5 6th gen machines. More powerful, will emulate pretty much anything you want to throw at it. Will play a lot of games, but let me lob some examples your way. Don't spend lots of money if you just want to make some videos, stick around in some games, I don't know, play some Fortnite or whatever. Cheap audio, cheap PC, you can stream with it. Games. So I mentioned emulation, and I've mentioned Fortnite. Emulation, I'm talking everything from Atari 2600 all the way up to, like, I don't know, GameCube, PlayStation 2, Nintendo Wii, 3DS, that kind of stuff. Machine would be plenty capable of doing it. As I say, the little machine I show off is a 2nd gen Intel Core i5 that you can get for about £100. That thing will quite comfortably play, you know, GameCube, PlayStation 2, all that kind of stuff. In fact, that's what I've got on mine. With the 1050 Ti, which is lower than the 1650 that I would recommend putting in there, you could in fact play like everything you could possibly dream of for the most part. But actual PC games, I don't know, maybe you're going to want to play some Counter-Strike, Global Offensive. It's free to play, first person shooter. Who don't like a bit of competitive Counter-Strike? You know, you can upgrade for a little bit of cash. You can get I recommend people get into PC gaming too anyway over console, just because of how cheap Steam sales go. Let's be there. It's like huge boost right there. PC gaming, once you get that foot in the door, is cheap. Really cheap. Especially compared to consoles. You know, console game, you spend £450 on the console. I think the PlayStation 5 is about £450 or something like that, isn't it? Game, anywhere between 40 and like 70 quid. What was Dark Souls, like 60, 70 pounds? Yeah, right. No, not Dark Souls, sorry. Demon Souls. Demon Souls. The one that came out on PlayStation 3 that they remastered. Good job. Lots of money. But yeah, come down here. Where did we put it? Here we go. Yeah, processor. You need a toaster to run Counter-Strike Go. So this machine would cover it pretty well. How about Grand Theft Auto 5? This thing's fucking ancient, but also pretty comfortably playable on one of these little PCs. Still quite a popular game for people to stream. Some people really like playing it. Right here, easy mode. You're well within spec. Good job. And this goes on sale for pennies, so, you know, let's not worry about that. Red Dead Redemption 2. Not exactly the newest game on the market, but people like it, I guess. Red Dead, woo! There you go. What you really want is for your processor to sit between the minimum and the recommended. If you're on the recommended, great. If you're higher than the recommended, great. If not, sit in between, you'll be good. It's your graphics card, as I say, that's really kind of important. On this one, you'd be sitting in the middle on both, but a plenty playable experience, especially if you're used to playing on, say, a PlayStation 4, Xbox One, or Nintendo Switch. If you can play big boy games on a Nintendo Switch, one of these machines is going to be like, wow! And as I say, games really cheap, but Red Dead, it'll run on a little 300 quid, you know, gaffed up business PC. Deep Rock Galactic, nice procedurally generated, team-based, miney mission-y game. I can't think of the groove there. But it's pretty fun. I've played it on the Ram Nerds game night with Ram and Zaber. Stick around, complete missions, gather materials, upgrade your gear, and get drunk. Cheap. And if I remember rightly, I mean, look at that, look. That's cool. Slaughter all these things as they come up. Good times. Yeah. We'll run on a pasty. Is that really all that needs? 2.4 gigahertz dual-core processor. Insane. There you go. That'll run. No problem. Sea of Thieves. I like this one. This one's cross-play with the Xbox. So PC and Xbox players can play together. You play a pirate. It's fun. Now, I don't remember. I know that the machines I've recommended will play it because the little machine that I shoe off is lower end. Oh, no. I believe it's above that. Yeah, it's above that. Around there? Yeah, it's on the recommended. Oh, for some reason, I got it into my head that the machines were the i5 and the little one that I shoe was about lower than here, but it isn't. I kind of goofed there, but whatever. Runs fine. Looks absolutely fantastic. My kiddly dinks play it quite a bit. They're on the old Intel Core i5 business machines too. The lower end ones. You know. Really fun. Really cheap. It's a good time. And as I say, cross-play between console and PC. So there's always people to play. Rust. It's Rust. I know some folk that like Rust. It's Rust. It looks alright, I suppose. Yeah. Within spec. Good job. Apparently that's now having a beta on consoles. Rust. Vermintide 2. I've just gone through Vermintide 1 on the Rad Nerds game night. Fun little game based in the classic Warhammer universe where you run around murdering Skaven. I like Skaven. They're rat men. See? Look at them. Look how cute they are. Look. And people are like, yeah, kill the Skaven. But they're really cute. And they run at you and they nom you. But again, game looks absolutely phenomenal. And spec-wise, it'll run on one of those little machines. Hours and hours and hours. Multiplayer team-based game. If you've ever played Left 4 Dead, kind of like that, but in the Warhammer universe. Super fun. Cheap. Valheim. It's a new like co-op survival game. Indie styly. Let me think. With this one, I'd say probably the graphics card is going to be the one that's a bit long in the tooth. So, oh no, 970. You should be able to get away with that. And processor is after a pasty. You can play that. And it's new. It's pretty. Pretty-ish. There you go. That's kind of pretty, right? You know? Groovy. Valheim. New game. If you're into fighting games, Street Fighter 5. Still getting updates. Had an update quite recently. Danny Beaky is now a playable character in Street Fighter 5. There you go. Danny Beaky. If you're into the old fighting games, this will play. In fact, actually, my kids, even though here's one of the ones that's we're talking a bit long in the tooth. Although this is an i3 4160. I was going to say my Kiddly Dinks play on an i5 2400. So you're scratching the low end on the super low end cheapy machine that I've been using for years. But the 6th gen Core i5s in some of these machines wouldn't have much of a problem, and you could play some Street Fighter. Still in the fighting game path. How about some Mortal Kombat 11? There's a new Mortal Kombat film coming out. It's the aggro man fighting game, murder everyone. Fatalities, cheesy movies. Fun times. Everyone knows Scorpion. If you don't know Scorpion, you're doing it wrong. Bit of riding in there too. Look at that. Look. Beautiful. Oh, no, he's dead. Well, he isn't, because he's already dead. But I'll run on one of these rigs. In fact, recommended Intel Core i5 2300. If you buy one of the newer machines, as I say, for about 150 quid. That's good. Your graphics card, you're going to be sat between the two on this one. But, yeah. Mortal Kombat, fighting game. How about something a bit newer? Guilty Gear Strive. As it says here, due out April 9th. It's one of the old anime fighters. Guilty Gear series, really fun. Looks gorgeous. They've just finished their beta for it. And there you go. You could run that on one of those cheap machines. And then check this out, Blaze Blue and the other Guilty Gear games. Those will play very nicely. Any fighting game pretty much will play on one of those cheap business machines. I think the only one you might even have a problem with is maybe Tekken 7, but that game is fantastic. It looks beautiful. But, there you go. So, cheap. Hunt Showdown. And this is where you're going to start pushing. You're going to really start pushing it with even these cheap machines. Unless you were to, say, upgrade the processor. But playable because the proc in the 6th Gen i5 machines you can buy are about the same as my old gaming laptop, and I play Hunt Showdown on my old gaming laptop. This has also been optimized for consoles. Absolutely beautiful PvP and PvE first-person shooter. I mean, oh, look at that. Oh, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The lighting in this game is just... Oh, it's just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Soundtrack's pretty good too, to be fair. Permadeath as well. Should just mention that. You get wrecked by someone, all the stuff you've got with your character, gone, son. But yeah, spec-wise... where are we? Yeah, graphics cards. So the 1650 will do the job. It's literally your proc where you're going to start running into issues. But as I say, it runs on my 7th gen Intel gaming laptop. So you're just sitting kind of around this area anyway. You'd be able to play. Hunt Showdown's fantastic. Looks way better on PC than it does on console. So even on one of those budget rigs, it's the better choice. Anyone into kind of Western RPGs? Baldur's Gate. Is that Baldur's Gate 3? Is that actually out yet? Oh, well, early access game. There you go. Still in development. I don't know if you guys have played like Baldur's Gate's kind of based on D&D. So it was like Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter Nights, stuff like that. Really fun, kind of retro classic Western RPGs. Proc wise, yeah, you're sitting in a good area. Graphics card again, you're sat in the middle. Not bad for 300 quid. You get into the old PC gaming space. Baldur's Gate Western RPG. Fantastic. Neo. If you're into Souls games, imagine Dark Souls, but in feudal Japan. Absolutely fantastic games. Remember playing these on PlayStation 4 before my PlayStation 4 decided it was going to cook itself. Processor-wise, yeah, you'll be good there. You'll be good there. Graphics card, yep, you'd be pretty good with a 1650 or 1050 Ti. 300 quid. Machine, Neo. PC gaming's not that expensive. Neo 2, that's the newest one. There you go, February 5th, 2021. I haven't played Neo 2 yet, but I'd like to. Where are we? Where's the old requirements? Again, Dark Souls-y style, Japan, murder, slicey, get hit, get wrecked, job done. There you go. 1660 is your recommended graphics card on that one. And the 6700K processor recommended. That's what you could upgrade, theoretically upgrade the little business machine to max end, the top end. Would be the recommended for this. You'd be sat kind of in the middle again for Neo, but you could quite comfortably play that on one of those little business PCs, and it'd still come out at less than a PlayStation 5. So GG. Cyberpunk will even run on one of these. What was it? The AMD Ryzen 3400G, which is the AMD Ryzen processor with the onboard graphics card, can play Cyberpunk, even at the lowest end, mind you. But one of those little business PCs should, in theory, just get away with, there you go, 1660 Super, so you'd be just under the recommended there. Let's be fair, a lot of machines kind of struggle with this. The last gen consoles couldn't play it, so this would be your best bet to play Cyberpunk. It's a good looking game, just not really my cup of tea, but you could do it with one of those little business rigs. And when did that come out? December 10th, 2020. So, again, another new game. Beat Saber, if you want to play some VR. This kind of stuff works on my gaming laptop. One of those little business machines sits around the same space as my gaming laptop. You'll be able to play some VR. Get yourself an Oculus Quest 2. Buy yourself some Beat Saber. Nice little rhythm game. You can get your feet wet in PC VR. And this is basically the kind of the lowest end you could realistically get PC-wise if you were going to build. The main bonus to this kind of build, though, over, say, one of those cheap little business machines, as I say, the business machine, you've got a hard limit to it. It's an old motherboard. You're only going to be able to upgrade to, say, a 6th gen Core i7 6700. And we're now on, 10th gen Intel processors, with way more cores, way more threads, faster clock speeds. So there's a hard ceiling to where that can go to. But for 300 quid, you can't really complain. Your next option is something like this, an AMD Ryzen 5 3400G, which is a modern machine, modern motherboard, modern processor, but because it is a modern motherboard, you could, in theory, upgrade this build when you've got the cash to be as powerful as my rig now, Doomslayer, which is like a 3700X, what is it, like 16 core, something like that. I can't remember. I'm pulling numbers right out of my ass right now, but you could turn it into a pretty much current gaming PC if you were to start with this as your foundation. However, it is around 200 quid more expensive, so options. It depends if you really want to jump in and think you're going to stick with it, or if you just want to get your feet wet. Should also mention Monster Hunter World works on those little business machines pretty well. As I say, you can stream off of them, you can capture off of them, you can edit off of them, you can emulate pretty much anything under the sun. PSP games at 4K and stuff like that. Play your Wii U games, PlayStation 2 games, Super Nintendo games. All your classic games could be run on one of those little business machines. And that's cheaper than a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X. I'm just saying you don't have to spend a lot of money to get into PC gaming. And if you want to try live streaming, again, because I've shown you the cheap way to get into audio and cheap way to get into game capture, well, one of those little rigs, you're pretty good to go, at least for a while. They're not going to get phased out anytime soon. And if you're into indie games and emulation, you'll be gone until you're old. Until people have no idea what an Intel processor even is. Or until when people don't even know what the planet Earth is. You'll probably be able to still make stuff until YouTube and Twitch and things like that go away. How cool is that? All for 300 quid. Some people say, that's still really expensive. It is. You could cut more corners if you really wanted to, but at that point, you're starting to kick yourself in the nuts. So, basically, you could buy one of the ones that I show off for about 100, but this is all USB 2. It's an old processor. You are going to run into a wall faster with one of these, or 50 quid more, and it'll last longer. It'll have USB 3 ports on it, and they're fantastic little machines. Absolutely fantastic little machines for the money. And when they do start to get a bit kind of long in the tooth, and if emulation ain't really your thing, you can use it for something else. File server, porn storage, Plex server and porn server, I don't know, whatever it is you want to use it for, doorstop. You can do that, and they can fit next to or under your telly. This is about the size of an original Xbox One, PlayStation 4. So it's probably way smaller than a PlayStation 5. It's pretty good. Cheap. Because I just see so many people like, oh yeah, I've just gone out and bought a £300 laptop. Why? You've got a TV. You've likely got a TV in your house. Just get one of these, pop it next to your TV, and job done, man. You can play console games, PC games, install Linux on it. I've got 2 drives in here, one for Windows, one for Linux. Although I never used the Windows drive. No point. This was actually my first proper, regularly used Linux gaming PC. Put Steam OS on here and treated it like a console. Had it sat underneath my TV and just played games and streamed from it like every day. It's great. Still use it. Just I've kind of taken the graphics card out of it and put it into another machine that's basically the same thing, but an Intel Core i5 4th gen machine. That you can get. No, you could probably get a 4th gen these days for about £100. So, you know, it's a toss up now between a 4th gen and a 6th gen for between £100 and £150. I'm probably talking science to a lot of people here, but just know that they're old processors, but they're still pretty good. And just to give you an example of what you're kind of looking for, Dell OptiPlex 3040 small form factor PC, Intel Core i5 6500, runs at 3.2 GHz, 16 gigs of DDR3 RAM, 500 gig hard drive. The hard drive's a bit, but you know, 16 gigs of RAM and the i5 processor is pretty solid for the cache. It's all toolless too, by the way, so you don't have to whip out your screwdriver to upgrade these things. This is the kind of thing you'd be getting. And yeah, just literally though, just make sure you're going for, you know, probably a 4000 series or 6000 series Intel Core i5. Don't go i3, i5 or better if you can. There's loads of these things on sale. Here you go. Look, here's an i3, which could be upgraded if you wanted to. You know, the Dell, the older model. Is this the one that I had? The one that I was showing off? Oh no. But that's, you know, it's older. How much do they want for this? They 20. I'd go for 3770 on that one. Memory go 8 gigs, 500 gig. Yeah, they're asking, in my opinion, way too much when you can get that 6th gen. Shop about, and you'll find you'll get yourself a pretty good deal. All right, look about. Like I say, look for the one that I just show off. One like this. Just literally just look that up. There's billions of them on the eBays. They all tend to sit around the 150, 160 quid mark. Sometimes you can put in an offer and get them for less. Right? Take a crack. Don't go out and buy a skanky little laptop that you're never going to use. PC hardware is pretty cheap these days. This is a good gateway drug, in my opinion. As I say, you can stream off it, you can emulate off it, you can play games, like modern games on it. You know, do your shopping, watch your porn, whatever it is. Make your porn, do whatever. Cheap. I think it's cheap anyway. I mean, honestly, a PC of that power. I remember spending thousands back in the day to build a rig around that power. Yeah, was that where I was going to go with that? I think that's where I was going to go with that. Don't break the bank. Console sized. Good deal. I know there's loads of people that are going to be watching this going, but scares. I know people who want to do live streamy stuff, video edity stuff. My kids do things on machines lower power than this. I've done stuff on lower power machines than this. A lot of the videos you see on YouTube are probably produced on machines lower power than this. A lot of us started live streaming when the 2nd gen Intel Core i5s were a thing. You know, that's a 6th. You've got no excuse to not be able to do pretty much everything on one of those machines, and that's a pretty reasonable price. I don't even think you'd get away with a Chromebook, a decent Chromebook at that price. Plug it into your TV, mouse and keyboard, a decent keyboard will clock in at about 50 quid. Mouse is about 3 pence and some spit. And you're good to go. And if you find out you actually really like it, well, that's when you start to think about investing in a big boy beefy rig like Doomslayer down here. But that's it. Please stop wasting your money on really cheap, nasty, off-the-shelf laptops and stuff like that. They just don't do it. They just don't do it, especially when one of those you can play everything on it pretty much. And if it did become long in the tooth, there's streaming services, game streaming services like Nvidia GeForce Now and Google Stadia, so that you could play the higher end games like Cyberpunk on machines lower power than that, and it'd be great. Anyway, I'm going to head off. Got some bits to do. So I hope you're well, and I'll see you all with a bit of luck in the next one. Oh, and just in case anyone's curious, as far as the Odyssey stuff goes and the OCD stuff goes, I deleted the YouTube sync. The videos ended up in limbo, and I'm moving them over to the my local Odyssey account. Just ties into the last 2 videos I put up. See you in the next one.